A few things to discuss on this Wednesday at the Weather Network. The streak is over. We'll tell you where, and to be honest, I have mixed feelings on the end of the streak. The cold returns in the east, and as always, we are jealous of the West Coast, Sheryl. Just beautiful weather.
We'll take it to break the streak of not having reached above freezing consecutively for 37 days in Toronto.
And here's the thing. I'm not a big fan of third place. I wanted to go for the gold, at least the silver, but I guess we'll have to take that for this year and maybe 52 days for 2016. What do you think?
We'll see. I hope we don't go to another streak, personally.
It did. It was really poorly timed, too, because, again, 5-6 centimeters of snow, not a big deal, but the fact that it happened for the evening commute, I was without power for about 35 minutes. Still thousands of people are without power this afternoon.
So thankfully, the 10 to 15 centimeters of snow in Newfoundland expected with our low pressure system coming through. Cape Breton might pick up a little bit more snow throughout the day today. Still cold, but we have some warming temperatures on the way for the Great Lakes. This will make people happy, I think.
For the Great Lakes, yes, not for Atlantic Canada. We are going to get cold again as we head toward the end of the week. But you have to check out this video, Sheryl. We've seen so much snow in Atlantic Canada.
In areas like, well, Shediac and Moncton, southern New Brunswick, it's going to be a problem, I think, for the spring melt when we start talking about the St. John River a little bit later on. But now we're talking about the eastern prairies, the cold. Look at these wind chill values. We're in the minus 20s, minus 30s through.
And temperatures are going to warm up across parts of Saskatchewan and Manitoba. Back to seasonal, which is a word we haven't heard very much. And another word we haven't heard very much for the south coast of BC, rain. We are, and as we move to Alberta, we do have a bit of active weather in central Alberta for Friday, a rain-snow mix. Saturday, southern Alberta, but you mentioned warm temperatures. Could be 10 degrees in southern Alberta with sunshine on Sunday.
So there's the Thursday map, and then to Friday, still chilly in the Great Lakes, but we have milder conditions building in across the prairie provinces, so a moderation on the way for Saskatchewan and Manitoba. Mike Arsenault and Sheryl Plouffe with you with our developing stories this hour at the Weather Network. The streak is over. The cold is returning in the east, and we're a little bit jealous of the West Coast.
But I'd want my video to be on the Weather Network. Fun fact about our producer, Scott, if you put a puppy or an animal in a video, he will make sure it gets on there. So we have to do something like that.
Streak coming to an end. I, for one, am glad to have seen the temperature at least rise briefly to 1 degree.
But when should you ever be happy about winning a bronze medal, right? You always want to go for the gold, own the podium like we did in 2010 in Vancouver. But we did see active weather in southern Ontario yesterday, very poorly timed.
Some cases like in Hamilton. Now we have some snowfall that's moving in through the Atlantic provinces, and namely Newfoundland seeing the most of this today. 10 to 15 centimeters of snow, South Avalon and through the Burin Peninsula.
Not just the snow, the winds will be an issue as well. So visibility could be a problem on the roads as we move through the day. And temperatures, well, we are going to get colder in Ontario for Thursday, Friday, but better news for the weekend.
Yeah, so 2 more days of cold air, and then it starts to come up. Maybe this is feeling a little bit more like what we want to see in the month of March. But let's go over to Newfoundland here.
Well, I don't think Nuka the dog liked it. He seemed like he was coming in from that whiteout conditions very quickly because of, well, how poor the visibility was and how cold it was with that wind and snow blowing around. Quiet through the prairies.
Say, okay, well, that's really cold, but over the next 2 days, the temperatures are going to rise significantly, and it will feel like an entirely different situation. Looking at our temperature contrast,
almost 20 degrees this afternoon, so you start without the heat on, and by the time you get to Regina, you definitely have the heat cranked. But we will start to moderate a little bit as we head toward the weekend.
We have rainfall on the way, not in Vancouver, say 25 to 30 millimeters generally, but we've got some nice sunny weather for southwest BC again.
We do. It's going to be a beautiful weekend. Could hit 13 degrees in Vancouver.
There were transformer fires in some cases and a lot of power outages north and east of Toronto mostly, although there were some issues slightly off to the east of Toronto as well, or rather to the west. So when we look at the snowfall totals and the freezing rain hours, how long it all lasted. In Hamilton it lasted for 5 hours, but we didn't see so much in the way of snowfall accumulation, despite there having been a little bit, but Toronto did pick up 5 centimeters of snow, and even Ottawa and Montreal ended up with not only freezing rain, or rather with snowfall, but with some freezing rain as well. So the temperature highs yesterday, we hit +1 at Pearson, and you know what that means if you've been following the story about the streak. That means that our consecutive days not going above 0 have ended. So we made it to 37, which makes it the 3rd all-time longest consecutive run of days without breaking 0 in Toronto. So the streak has ended. This is the 7-day forecast for Toronto. as on Saturday we have some flurries in the forecast, but really not expecting to see much in terms of accumulation by then. Let's go to Newfoundland and check in. We're talking the eastern side, 142 kilometer per hour wind gust. Even St. John's went over 100 kilometer per hour winds. So very windy on Tuesday. The winds are not so much of an issue today. However, we still have a little bit of light snow that's falling and coming through. When we talk about the historical snows for this season, as of March 3rd, these were the totals and also where they land in terms of historical snowfall. St. John, you're at number 2 this season. Charlottetown, the 3rd largest snowfall ever for that city. Now, in terms of snowfall today, we're expecting to see likely another, say, 5 or so centimeters of snow, but again, largely breaking away into Newfoundland, and that's where we're expecting to see the higher totals of snowfall. With regard to temperatures, wow, it is going to get a lot milder in places like Saskatchewan, dramatically warmer as we head through to the end of the week. In Regina, it's very cold today. So let's take a look at what we have in store in terms of our 7-day forecast for Winnipeg. We've got some warming temperatures there as well.
This weather